What is going on, you guys? It is Gorilla and FPV coming at you guys with my very first, I guess you could call, review video. The reason I'm doing this review is because I had multiple problems with the drone that I had purchased. A lot of times when you see this video, you're going to see two of these boxes. One's going to be the racing edition, one's going to be the freestyle edition. However, these are both the racing edition. You guys might be wondering, why would I get two racing editions? They're the same exact quad. Why would I have two of the same ones? That is because BetaFPV did not send these to me for review. I bought these for myself. The reason I have two of them is because they have faulty ELRS receivers in them. The reason I say that is because my first one I started flying, and immediately my ELRS receiver had turned solid blue. I brought it back in from flying around. I landed it, put in a new battery pack, and immediately when plugging it back in, this turned solid blue and would not bind. When it did that, I contacted Wrecked Drones over in Tempe, Arizona, and they notified me that it could be a problem with BetaFPV ELRS receivers, or a problem with the flight controller, but they weren't super certain, and they recommended getting a new receiver. I went ahead and got a secondary drone to get back up in the air, kind of postponing getting a new receiver, knowing that receiver had just fried itself. I wasn't sure if it was the flight controller or the receiver itself. So I went ahead and got a secondary drone. I started flying it, and I think it was maybe less than a week into owning the second one that the ELRS receiver had done the same thing, except for instead of this time turning solid blue and not binding, it was turning solid blue dim. So it would turn on, power on, go bright blue, and then immediately turn solid dim blue, as if the battery was dead, or didn't have enough power being drawn to the receiver. So I went ahead and took it back into Wrecked Drones, told them that it had happened to the now second drone that I had received from BetaFPV, and they went ahead and installed the ELRS receiver with the ceramic tower in it, which I believe is a $20, almost $30 receiver. And they went ahead and installed it and gave it to me for free, considering that I had now gotten two drones from BetaFPV, both racing editions, both out of the box, no outside of the box tuning, no outside of the box usage. I wasn't flying it ridiculously crazy. I wasn't doing anything you shouldn't be doing with a tiny whoop. I was just flying it like a tiny whoop, and two separate of their receivers with the flat ELRS antenna. I believe it's called the BetaFPV Lite ELRS receiver, 2.4 gigahertz. And I mean, as you can see, it doesn't have a boot button. It has the little boot pad. Hopefully it focuses in there. Has a little boot pad which doesn't have any solder on it, or wires touching it accidentally. And I didn't unsolder it from this. There was no wires that were disconnected as far as RX and TX. And actually, when it had happened, I read on the ELRS troubleshooting page that a lot of times it's the UART that you are connected to that actually causes it to go into a boot loading mode, just from that UART specific. So I went ahead and changed UARTs. This specific flight controller has four UART, or either four or five UARTs on it, and I had swapped to every single one of them and tried it, still nothing. And again, I did not do anything to the receiver. I did not flash it. I did not put it into Wi-Fi mode when it had happened. The only thing I did to the receiver when I got it out of the box was I turned it on. I put it into Wi-Fi mode initially, connected on my computer, and flashed my binding phrase into it. And then connected back to it, was flying for 3, 4, maybe 5 days, and then that's when this one did it. And then the second one, again, less than a week, and my ELRS receiver had fried itself, or went into soft bricked mode. The problem I see with this is, yes, I understand things get bricked, but it shouldn't brick itself from changing batteries. It should only brick if you improperly flash firmware or improperly activate the boot pad accidentally, I guess I should say. Accidentally activate the boot pad with solder or overshoot and get wire onto that boot button. You know, there's kind of multiple ways that could accidentally happen, but from factory out of the box, they should not be doing that. And it did it to not one, but two totally separate BetaFPV Air 65 tiny whoops. So if you are looking at this product and you do want to purchase one, I highly suggest it. They're great quads, but before you buy one, I would honestly get a separate ELRS receiver and just put that on immediately to resolve any issues that you might run into. This specific one is the RP2 version, I believe that says version 3.3, I believe. And again, I have not had any issues with this one. No signs of issues, and it's been a few days now. So if you are looking at this drone, highly recommend it. Great drone, super fun, super fast, super nimble, fun indoors and outdoors. It can actually put up to the wind pretty well. I've flown it in the wind a few times. And if you're in air mode, then you know you don't really have any problems. It's when you're in angle mode that the flight controller wants to fight that wind and try to stay straight. But if you're in acro mode or air mode and you're kind of ripping around, it cuts through the wind pretty well and doesn't fall short like a lot of the mini whoops do outside in the wind elements. So again, super recommend it, but if you are gonna get it, do not run this factory ELRS. You guys should definitely get a secondary one and install it so you don't have this problem, because it is very frustrating. And as a side tangent, BetaFPV, if you guys are seeing this, can you guys do something about it? You guys should either swap out the receivers that you guys are using, or just completely take off the receiver, cheapen the drone, you know, make the drone a little bit cheaper because it doesn't come with a receiver in it and you have to buy one. But again, you guys can knock 10, 20 bucks off of the overall price of the drone and just not have a receiver in it. Or if you guys are trying to keep ELRS as your, you know, protocol that you want to run as your binding flies, then you guys should definitely swap out the actual module you're using, because it is very, very poorly built. One is kind of, you know, oh, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But to have two of them fail on two completely separate flight controllers is kind of ridiculous, and I don't think is a accident. I think it's a pattern, and I think it's a matter of time before the pattern comes out, especially considering that these are newer tiny whoops. So that's basically my review in a nutshell of the BetaFPV Air 65. Super great drone, just poorly built with the ELRS receiver, and hopefully they can do something in the future to stop that from being a problem. Tune back in for our next video. Hopefully I get going a little bit further. If you guys want to support, it would be fantastic. I'm currently rocking the newbie drone box goggles that I bought in a binding flight kit almost 3 years ago. So if you guys want to help support, give me some new goggles, that'd be great. I'm looking at the HD Zeros as my next goggles set. So see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.